So the year's over, 2024 is over, it's January now, 2025, and it's time to go over and see how much I made for the grand total of 2024, what trades I took, what investments I made, what kind of things did I change with my portfolio throughout the year, throughout 2024, throughout the months, throughout the weeks. What did I do? How did my portfolio perform? And in total, what does my portfolio look like now coming at the end of 2024? Where does it stand? How much is invested? What's the value of it? And where I'm looking to go in 2025. So how's it going, everybody? It is Dennis, and we're back with another video. And of course, today, we're going to be talking about how much I made in 2024 in options, in dividends, which investments I decided to go into, which ETFs, what strategies I used, when I decided to make differences, when I decided to change things, everything I'm going to go into in this video, as well as what's going to be happening for 2025, but that's going to be in a different video going over what I'll be doing for 2025. But for 2024, what did I do? How much did I make? Let's go ahead and get straight into it. Of course, I'm not going to go by month by month by month. I did that before. There's videos of that. You guys could go month by month by month and see how much I made for every single month. We're going to go over the grand totals for every single ETF, for every single option strategy, for every single stock I own. So before we even start off, let me go ahead and be transparent as possible and show you guys how much my portfolio is worth when it ended off here in 2024. So this is the screenshot I took right on, I think this was January 2nd. So it was a day after the new year. This is the screenshot I took. This is how much my portfolio was worth a day after the new year came. So January 2nd, my portfolio value was $50,713.67. As you can see, this was after the dip and in the rise in the second dip we had, and we continue to have have another rise and dip, but that's a different story. But we earned for the year a total of 30.47% growth. Actually, if we did not have this dip, I would have been at $58,956, and that would have been 51.68% growth. 51.68% growth if we did not have a dip towards the end of the year, but we did. We had that dip, so we ended off being at $50,713.67 of portfolio value, with $11,844.79 being up for the year, or 30.47%. And you guys could do the math to see how much of the cash value is my own. So that is how much portfolio value we have. That is what we ended off with. Currently, we're still standing around that mark because, of course, the market is bouncing up and down, doesn't know what it's doing, but that's a whole different story. Let's go over how much we made in dividends, and mostly, let's go ahead and focus in on the grand totals. So we're going to go ahead and go through the grand totals of how much we made for every single ETF and stock I own. This is for the dividend side. Of course, we're going to go ahead and go through the normal ones, and then we're going to focus in on YieldMax on our YieldMax screen. So let's go ahead and go over through the normal ones first, or just the basic ones, the ones that are not YieldMax or QDTE. So looking at OHI, we received $60.29 for the all 2024. We received $55.97 for Stag. We received $104.29 from Maine. We're going to go ahead and skip over the YieldMax ones real quick. For HTGC, we earned $290.94. For SPHD, we earned $22.80. This position I sold out of, so I no longer own this position. Therefore, you will not be seeing this in the next year. For EFC, we earned $180.41. For DHS, we earned $198.40. For DGRW, we also sold out of this, so you will not be seeing this on next year's list. We earned $4.06. For SC, I'm not trying to show too much, so I'm scrolling a little bit slow. For SCHH, we earned $27.19. For RITM, we earned $217.36. For TSLY, we don't own this anymore, but we did have shares while we were running the wheel strategy, and that earned us a total of $96.82 in dividends. And of course, we have QDTE, but that we're going to get into more detail of it. So let's go ahead and get into that. So looking at our YieldMax ETFs, and of course, our Roundhill QDTE is down here on the bottom, which we'll switch over in a second. But for TSLY, we can see all our dividends. Of course, you could pause and look through it if you want to. I'm not going to go month by month by month. There's videos for that. But I'm just going to go ahead and look at the grand totals of all these ETFs and look at them in detail. So for TSLY, we have $4,305.10 earned for the year of 2024. That is a total of $10.7836 dividends or distribution per share. for a grand total ending for 2024 of 433.2143 shares earned at the end of 2024. And this was, of course, after the reverse split that we had from February through March. We had that reverse split that changed our 648 shares to 324. Of course, we had the reverse split. And even then, with the reverse split, we were able to get back up to 433 shares. As you can see, I was quite slow on the reinvesting part on TSLY after the reverse split, but then I begun going hard at the reinvesting part into TSLY. I decided that actually let me decide to start reinvesting TSLY. This is especially when Tesla began to rip up in value, and therefore I decided this is a good time to reinvest when it's still low, and that's what I did, and therefore my share value grew because I averaged down a little bit. And we're standing currently at 433.21 shares, and of course now I have a little bit more because I added more onto it. We got a distribution of $10.78 per share, and that gave us that total of $4,305.10. That $4,305.10 is close to paying off my TSLY position, which I put in cash. Do I know the exact amount I invested in cash? No, I didn't track it, unfortunately. I didn't track how much I put cash into most of my YieldMax positions. But most of the money now that's going into these positions, YieldMax, AMZY, all these other positions are all dividend based. All this stuff I'm investing is dividends, right? Nothing is coming out of my pocket. Most of the time, all the cash that I do invest from outside of the portfolio goes into the option strategy. So everything that you see being reinvested, that's all dividends. So $4,305.10 earned, and from 324 shares to 433 was all dividend money. None of mine out of pocket coming out of the portfolio. Looking at AMZY, we take a look at AMZY. We earned a total of $2,176.87, and we got a total of $9.116 per share, or $9.01 if you want to go ahead and round it that. $9.01 per share, and we ended off with 303.5 shares at the end of 2024. As you can see, I wasn't that good when it came to AMZY because when it came to reinvesting into AMZY. If you guys have been watching me for a while, you may or may not know that AMZY was a green position for me, meaning I was positive on AMZY, and therefore I wasn't reinvesting into it because I didn't want to dollar cost average upwards. I rather dollar cost average when it's below my cost. So I wasn't dollar cost averaging that much, as you can see, rarely putting money into it. Then we put a huge chunk into it in August, put another little piece into it in September, and then just left it around the 300 share mark. I didn't really put that much money into it. But now that is trending a little bit downwards, and now that I'm running a little bit more different of a strategy, if you guys may or may not know, every single week I take the dividends from 1 week, invest into the second week, and the third week, blah blah blah, on and on and on. So with that strategy, of course, this share count will be increasing month over month over month. But still, at 303 shares, 303.5 shares at the end of 2024, and the $9 distribution per share, we earned $2,176.87, meaning we are still positive on AMZY position. We are not down in the red, even with the value of AMZY being down for me currently. I'm still positive by the end of 2024, and especially the dividends that I received previously before 2024 and 2023, but of course that I did not track. But $2,176, meaning we are positive around $1,500, not counting the dividends earned in 2023. So next up, looking at AMZY. And of course, as you can see, the more we go down, the less the dividends get a little bit, but it's fine. That's just, for some reason, how it turned out to be. But $798.82 earned for AMZY. We hold a total of 271 shares for AMZY, and $4.05 were distributed per share for the whole of 2024. As you can see with this, we were a little bit stronger on reinvestment. We did have moments where we threw a couple chunks of money at it. We can see we jumped from 119 to 162. Then we jumped from 181 to 208, and then we jumped from 213 to 243, and 243 to 271. So we did throw a good amount of money into AMZY in the past couple months. We're jumping up to 271 shares earned, which led us to being at triple digits for AMZY when it comes to dividend distribution at $114.26. And AMZY has also been a pretty good growth ETF. It's been holding its value quite well, its NAV. And it's been holding itself quite nice. It's been in the red a little bit, but it's been in the green also recently, and of course now it dipped because of the market dip. But before that, it was in the green, as it was with AMZY as well. Moving on, we have GOOY. GOOY is another one that I was quite iffy on in the beginning. So GOOY earned us a total of $967.13. A total distribution of 2024 was $5.4452 per share, and we ended off having 324.9993 shares at the end of 2024. As you can see, once again, the reinvestment wasn't that strong. I didn't have quite a strategy down just yet in the beginning of this year, but slowly but surely I started to reinvest. And now we're, of course, following the new strategy that I'm deciding to follow with the week after week reinvestments with their new schedule. But we started off with 60, jumped up to 100, then 133, 228, 280, went straight for GOOY, and then up to 321. So we did throw a lot of money into GOOY, a lot of distributions and dividends into there. And that got us up to the triple digits for most of the months towards the halfway point of the year. So 113, 100, 121, and 298. Of course, because we had a dual distribution as well as a higher distribution due to the end of the year. So quite nice. $967 earned from GOOY, higher than AMZY, but of course we did have more shares, and also their distribution per share was higher than AMZY. So moving on to AMDY. AMDY is our new position. Of course, this is a new position because I do believe that AMDY has probably a future of going up higher than what it is now. It's at 52-week lows for AMDY, and I do think there's a future for AMDY in the AI space and the graphics card space and whatever. So that's why I'm investing into AMDY, as well as needing a position in the Group C space. So why not throw it into AMDY? So currently we're sitting at 176 shares owned by the end of 2024. We earned $2.03 per share by the end of 2024, and we got $175.32 total. Currently, I'm looking for this to be a little bit higher. January dividends for AMDY came in again, if you guys do or do not know. And of course, we got another 34-cent distribution. Nothing that great. So I am hoping that this goes back up to the 80, 60, 90 cent mark for AMDY or for AMDY. So we'll have to see how that does in February now, since January wasn't the best. But of course, it's fine. We earned the total, like I said, $175.32. And of course, with the new graph, I'm also putting up how much we earn. I think it should be up $70.12, how much we earn. Now we have 206 shares. So yeah, that's nice to see. But that is AMDY. That's my new position I'm building up for YieldMax ETFs, because I do believe that AMDY has a future of growth, and therefore I think there'll be high distributions and also somewhat growth in the AMDY position if they do play their option contracts correctly. Moving on, of course, we have YMAX. So YMAX was a good one. YMAX is something we went very strong at as well. Because I think weekly ETFs is the way to go. Weekly ETFs have weekly compounding, and therefore they provide you weekly income so that you could not only reinvest back into themselves, but you can reinvest into other ETFs and other option strategies. And also YMAX pays a quite good amount. It's pretty surprising how much they're able to pay on the week-to-week basis, as well as the monthly once you add it back all together. So for YMAX, we ended off having 455.45 shares. Wasn't able to hit 500 shares, but just letting you know, we've hit 500 shares in YMAX now. So we are at 500 now, but before 2024 or in 2024, we only hit 455. We got a total of $6.7127 earned per share from YMAX, and that gave us a total of $1,571.83. And currently we are down quite a good amount on YMAX with the market being down. I think we are down roughly 1,000 on YMAX. I think it's trending back upwards. So I think it's a little bit above 1,000. I think it's down like 900, 800. So we are still profitable on YMAX if distributions are to be counted in with value loss. And of course, we are reinvesting and using these dividends we're earning of like 316, 274, and throwing that week by week into other ETFs, other option strategies, and back into YMAX or QDTE, another weekly pair. We could also take a look at all this. We have this chart that demonstrates our YMAX payments, but of course I'm not going to look through all that because this video is not to go through on the week-to-week and month-to-month basis, just to see our general income earned. So that leaves us with the total from YieldMax ETFs, just YieldMax ETFs. The dividends total we earned from just YieldMax ETF was $9,995.08 earned. If we look at the side, we can see most months were growth, like just grew month over month. So the dividends distributions grew month over month for most of the months. We only had 2 months of negative growth, and that was in February we had negative 9.92%, and back in September when we had negative 0.86%. But in general, for most month over month, we had an average, I'm pretty sure it was an average of maybe like 8, 9, or maybe 10%. Of course, we were skewed a little bit by the 82.76 for the last month of December, 30.63, 13.06, and 31.52. These do skew the averages to the higher side. So if we were to take a median, I would say it's around the 7 to 8% mark. Overall month-over-month growth. And of course, that's not to add that there's a bias of me adding option income into this as well, throwing option income into the dividends, which would of course raise this bias as well on the percent growth month over month. But anyways, still great to see overall green for all the months, month over month percentage growth. Let's go ahead and take a look at QDTE. QDTE delivered quite well as well. We had $1,206.51 earned from QDTE. Of course, I did not enter this position until June, or actually late May, but early June is when we really started going into it and growing and growing and growing. And of course, by the end of the year, we hit $1,206.51. We got a total distribution of $9.99, or almost 10. You could say pretty much $10 earned per share. On our total ending share of 188.9886. Another good thing about QDT is the value holds pretty steady, especially if you're reinvesting and lowering your dollar cost averaging and lowering your average cost. So this $1,206 is, I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on this, I'm pretty sure this is the best performing ETF, weekly and monthly, weekly paying and compared to the monthly, best ETF and best pair to value hold. So I'm pretty sure right now, currently, I'm down around $200 on QDTE in value. And of course, if we minus that from the total earned dividend, we're up $1,000 on that. So that's quite nice to see. Of course, that's not a high distributor. We did have some high months. Of course, the last month was quite high with $2 total distributed. And then we had months of $2 right here in August. That was a good month with a couple 50 distributions, an extra week as well. But overall, it's not a high distributor or percentage paid annualized. It stays around the 30-40% mark, sometimes dips below 30 even. So not the highest pair, but it is consistent. It does pay its dividends quite well, and it pays weekly, so you have weekly compounding. And we could see that once again, most of our months were green, but that is because, of course, we were adding shares in the meantime. So it's, you know, not much you could say there. Like we can see, we jumped from 15 to 59 to 81, then we jumped up to 100. So we're adding shares constantly. So of course it's going to be green over month, but we did have some red months. We had the red month back in, what month was this? We had a red month in September. We had a red month in October. I should have known. Why did I even have to look? What comes after September? October. Negative 13.10%, negative 30.65%. And of course, we ended off with a growth of 28.90% and 106.47% for QDTE and for December. So looking now at, let's go back to our other. Looking now back, adding all those dividends up, how much is the grand total for 2024 earned? Well, it's $12,464.07 earned from dividends alone in our portfolio. So if we go ahead and take a look, we ended off being at $50,713. We earned a total of $12,464. So that's pretty much roughly, what is that? If my math is not wrong, that is what, 20 something percent, right? Let's go ahead and do it right now. Live calculations. Call me the Oracle. It's 24%, roughly 25% earned just from dividends alone. Assuming, of course, if we're dividing that by that, but of course, you know, Robinhood's different. That's assuming that's how much I have cash, but I don't. But in general, whatever. Quick maths, I guess it's 50%, 25, 24% of my portfolio is how much we earned in dividends. But of course, you know, value loss from reinvestments, value loss from option strategies, blah, 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 blah. So in general, just straight cash earned, and doesn't matter what I did with it, $12,464.07. Now we look at options. So let's go ahead and scroll down carefully so I don't show too much. So looking at options, Riot earned us $5,414 at the end of 2024. We also sold out of Riot. No longer playing Riot. Sold out of it. I think I lost a little bit on it. This was also one of my first option wheel strategies ETFs or stocks that I played. So of course this is a learning experience for me. I did buy in a little bit high. I'm gonna admit, when I first started trading Riot, I bought a little high. but we were able to come out in profits. Right, it went up. Our contracts were a little bit low than I wanted them to be, but we came in out in profit. I think from that $5,414 plus whatever I traded back in 2023, I think came out to roughly 7 maybe thousand earned in income. Not, of course, 5,400 not counting 2023, but in total I came out of ride profitable by maybe $2,000-3,000. So that was nice and dandy for being a learning, more of like a learning stock for myself. Mara, I did trade, but I didn't add it for some reason. Let's see if I could add that right now. Oh, there you go. So Mara, I earned $376 from Mara. I don't know why that was included, but I had a couple trades on Mara for 2-3 months. It wasn't anything special. And for that, I made $376. For TSLL, I earned $1,447. And with that, I also was able to come out profitable. Of course, I did sell at a loss as well, I think. Maybe I didn't. I don't even remember. But anyways, $1,447 earned, minus probably a couple dollars on that because I think I didn't come out positive. I think it was a negative. So $1,447 earned on that. TNA, $8,725 earned on TNA. And that, I haven't been playing too long. I started that, what month is this? In February. So I guess it's almost been a year. I started it, but I didn't go really strong on it until maybe halfway in, right? Yeah, this was my first strong month in July. So halfway into 2024 is when I really went strong into using poor man covered call strategy is what I use for TNA. I use poor man covered call strategy, so I buy option calls and then sell covered calls on. So I buy long calls and sell short calls on top of that, and therefore that was able to earn these high income months. As you can see, before we were trading the wheel strategy, it wasn't the best. And then we started doing the poor man cover call strategy, and we started earning 15, 18, 13, 11, 14. And then we had this low December ending of 580. But that was because I was transferring my contracts upwards to save the positions. So that gave us a total of $8,725 earned from TNA. And we're still doing it. We're still running it. I have to move one of my contracts next week. It's expiring on the 17th. I have 6 contracts expiring on the 17th, and I have to move them over to next year. That's probably going to cost me roughly $2,000-3,000, assuming where I decide to move them over to. If I decide to move them over to January of next year, that's going to be $3,000 if I get a good price on it. I could move it to halfway into June, July, and I'll be down to like 1,000-ish. Maybe low 2,000s, and of course I'll probably be able to make that back in a matter of 2-3 months if I decide to do so. As you can see, 2 months I'll make that back, so it's fine. So I could just deduct 2 months of income that I make from TNA, assuming I have a good 2 months, and then I'm able to then pay off or move those contracts and be in the profits once again. So it's a small price to pay for being able to make so much income and taking that income and distributing it and then making more income. So yeah, NVDS was another little thing I did for 2 months. As you can see, I ran it for 2 months, made $245 from that. I actually bought a put. I bought a long call on NVDS, which is reverse of NVIDIA. So it bets on NVIDIA going down. So I bought a long call for some reason. It actually was profitable. The call I sold the call for profit because NVIDIA did go down. But then also volatility went down. So I wasn't making that much from covered calls. So I was like, I'm just going to close this position. I made $245 plus whatever the long call was sold for. I think it was plus 100. So in total, it was like $345 earned from NVDS. SPY is another new position that I'm building up. Currently, I only have 1 contract on it. They are expensive contracts. The yield on investment is not that high. Of course, TNA, I'm pretty sure is like crazy yield percentage-wise, or return on investment is insane. I'm pretty sure it's close to like 100%. If you really go hard at it, it's close to 100%. But for SPY, I think it's like a 30 to 40 to 50% return. And I'm running the poor man covered call strategy once again. The reason I'm starting this is because it's a little safer. It's a lot safer actually than TNA. TNA is a 3 times leveraged Russell 2000 fund, while SPY is SPY. It's the overall market, 500 companies, S&P 500, and therefore it's safer to own long term. I could always roll it, and I don't have to pay when I roll because, as we know, as the S&P 500 goes up usually 8 to 10% on average every single year. Therefore, my contracts will earn or grow in value or stay in value. And therefore, I could roll it for next year up a little bit, and therefore continue to roll and roll upwards and upwards and upwards, and maybe even make income if I'm able to with a long call. And then the covered calls or the short calls, I'm able to earn income on that as well. As you can see, $238. That wasn't even a full month. $238, and then when I had the full month to trade, I made $340, and I'm pretty sure with one week was not that great. It was like $9 because I had to roll upwards. And so even with that $9 for 1 week, I still made $340 on that. And in total, I made $578, and I'm really willing to see where this goes. I really want to invest more into this. It's a lot of money to invest straight in. Like I said, the contract cost me like $8,000, almost $9,000 to buy just one contract. And I estimate it's going to make me roughly, assuming the contract is able to grow in value and I don't have to do what I'm supposed to do with TNA right now and pay to advance it forward. Assuming that value stays the same and I'm able to move into next year, or because this contract is 2026. So assuming from 2026 I can move it to 2027 without having to pay a fee or a debit, I will be able to make 50% return. If I have to move it with a debit, then I'll probably make like a 30% return, 40 if I get a good price. But anyway, still on $9,000 to make 50% return, that's $4,500 or $4,000 if you want to stay at the straight mark. It's pretty good. It's not bad. So we'll see how that have to play out. Of course, I also started a spreadsheet to see all my trades. These are all the trades I did for November. You guys can pause and take a look at it. These are all the trades I made for November, the total for November. This is all the trades I made for December and all the things I did, all the times I rolled, when I rolled, for what I rolled. So there's all the evidence. I'm doing this myself. This is not just made up numbers. Of course, I can also show you guys my Robinhood portfolio, but that's a lot of scrolling and a lot of things, and it just takes a lot of time. But this is what I'm doing. This is how I'm trading. You could pause, take a look, and just, if you want to, and see what I'm doing and what I am running. I can move a little bit down so you guys can see the number right there, $920 earned for December. So with that, how much did I make with options? So with options, I made a total of $16,936 earned from options. With that $12,464 from dividends, I'm assuming you guys probably could count that up and know how much I earned for 2024. And that is $29,400.07 earned for 2024. Pretty damn good. I have to say, it's pretty damn good. Pretty good income earned for 2024. Of course, this is just cash that I had and I received. Doesn't mean this is the value of my portfolio. My portfolio did not grow by $29,400. As you can see, by the end of 2024, after the dip, my account only grew in $11,844 in value. If we didn't have the dip, then it would have been $20,000. So if we didn't have that dip, that means $9,400 of the income I earned disappeared. It lost value, something happened to it, I don't know. So $29,400 is not how much I earned in value. That is how much I earned in income. And I decided to reinvest that income because that's my strategy. Just continue to reinvest my dividends, continue to reinvest my dividend income or option income back into my portfolio to grow it month over month, week over week, year over year, and to make it stronger and a better portfolio. So of course, most of that value probably was lost. Most of the cash I earned and I threw into TSLY, I threw into AMZY, I threw into QDTE and YMAX, like I said, was lost, right? I'm down negative something like negative 3,000 something on TSLY. I'm down negative like 900 something on YMAX, just being blunt. So with you guys and being open with you guys. So yes, that's not all positive green income in my pocket. I don't have that amount in my wallet. It's not in my bank account or in cash value. Most of it was lost. As you can see with the dip, a lot of it was lost. Pretty much 60-70% of it was lost if we're counting for that. So it's a hard game. It's a hard game to play. You have to reinvest the dividends into something smart. And that I'm going to go over in 2025 video and my future for 2025 and what I'm changing for 2025. But it is there. The income is there, $29,400 earned. And we can see that month over month, we did have green and red months, and it wasn't the greatest of times. Sometimes we even lost money. I think that was back last year in 2023. But we could see we had a lot of red months, a lot of little green months, and we started changing strategies, trying different things. And of course, with the newest strategy that I have, we were able to achieve a lot of green months except December, but I'm not going to count that. Negative 0.08%, like what is that? That's pretty much almost green. So almost 3 months of straight green with the new strategy of reinvesting week over week over week with the weekly distributions to the next week. And also we could see that our dividends did grow as well. We had a lot of green months of growth. So 20, 27, 20.7, 67.25, 18.53. We did have the red months as well with poor performance months. But anyways, we continue to grow in dividend aspects and option aspects, right? So the option side of the portfolio grows, the dividend side of the portfolio grows. Everything continues to grow because we continue to reinvest. We don't take out money. I'm not taking out of this money. I do have a job outside of this to where I'm able to earn income and sustain myself. So this money is not needed. It's all going back into the portfolio, all getting reinvested back into ETFs like YieldMax, QDTE, new ETFs that are coming out, new strategies that I'm forming in my mind, and new option strategies, as you can see, that I'm running. Currently, it's just TNA and SPY, but we'll see. Maybe there'll be some new ones in the future. Hint, hint. I am looking at new things to invest in for the long term, so that's something I'm taking a look at as well. But overall, that is my portfolio for 2024. That is how it's performed, earning me a total of $29,400.07. Of course, just in income value, I've lost a good amount of value. I showed you guys that I lost a good amount of value, especially after the dip. If it wasn't for the dip, I would have been up, well, it was at 20,000. After the dip, I'm only up 11,000. So that's just how it is. That's the game of investing into dividend ETFs. You don't receive that much growth. Most of my growth actually came from option strategies. I think my dividend growth side, or my dividend growth was very minimal. It was like 6-7% of my portfolio. Most of it was just options. Options really pushed my my portfolio up there. So that's why I say all the time, don't just go straight into dividends. Diversify. If you know, and that's something I'm going to be really doing in 2025, is diversifying into some other stuff, which I'll get into in the next video. But just diversify, have options that you run yourself, even if it's not, you know, poor man cover calls. If it's just doing covered calls on maybe 100 shares of like some stock you have, run covered calls, have dividend ETFs and stocks, and just have growth stocks as well, because that is very important. So just have a diversified portfolio that can earn you income, can earn you growth on your portfolio, and just be overall safe and protected from anything that the market throws at you. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. That has been my 2024 portfolio overview. That has been how much I've earned in dividends and options and everything. I'm like I said again, love being transparent as possible. You guys can pause and take a look at all this, go back in the video and take a look at all this and see what trades I made, what ETFs I picked, when I decided to invest, when I decided not to. Take a look back in history if you want to, and see what was going on during those times in the market. But anyways, that has been me. Thank you so much for watching my overview, or my pretty much my portfolio overview for 2024. I'll see you guys in the next video when we'll be talking about what we're doing for 2025. A lot of things will be changing probably. Well, they will be, but you guys will find that out next week. So I'll see you guys for next week's video. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, and once again, see you guys next week.